Welcome, class. Let's go ahead and get started. We're really happy that you all are joining us this week. This is the Intermediate Grasshopper online training we affectionately call Level 102. Our instructor is Andreas Gonzalez Posada, and today is session 1. We'll be working for the next 3 hours with a small break, and we'll be going over the schedule here real shortly. But in session 1, we also want to go over what you need to know about GoToTraining, meet your instructor and staff, go over what is happening, at specific times during the session. We also can test your internet connection, look at your the quality of your mic and how well the audio is coming through for you and how well the video is coming through. We'll also go over what will be covered in class. You will get some homework after each session, and we would like to find out about you and what you are doing with Rhino and what you plan to do with Grasshopper. So there will be a point in the first session where we'll ask for a show of hands, and we'll go down the list and just get a brief introduction about you. So it's really helpful to the instructor to find out what industry you're working in and what your goals are for Grasshopper. In that way, as Andreas is teaching and he thinks of something that may be relevant to you, he can point it out. So we really would appreciate a little bit of an introduction, although we know that you're joining us from all over the world. And if it's not convenient for you to talk, don't worry, we won't unmute your mic unless your hand is raised. So, of course, we want your permission to do that. So you can also chat what you are planning to do with Rhino, and I can go ahead and read it to the rest of the class. And the really important thing that we're going to be doing today is getting started on the Grasshopper intermediate material. So that is the main goal for today's class. We'll also be pointing out some links and some things that you need to know, not just during the training, but after the training, okay, so that you can do your homework and then show up tomorrow and be ready to continue. A lot of you have already done the level 1 Grasshopper, the introduction to Grasshopper. So a lot of this is review. We structure the class very similarly. But on the other hand, there are a few of you who are new, so we want to make sure that you know all the resources out there to help you with the training. So we will be working today, tomorrow, Wednesday and Thursday. So 4 days this week. Our class hours are 9 a.m. to 12 noon, my time here, which is Pacific time. The GoToTraining does a really good job of trying to keep everybody in their right time zone. This is actually Pacific Daylight Time. I didn't pick that up last night. I apologize for that. But it does a pretty good job of trying to keep people in their time zone. So make sure with the GoToTraining that you select your time zone so that it can remind you about the training during during your time zone category. So let's see, this is important because we'll be working an hour and a half, and then we're going to take about a 10-minute break, but it actually ends up being about 15 minutes from the time we turn off the mic till we turn it back on again. But we do like you to check back into the training after 10 minutes so that we can get started very promptly 15 minutes is usually the duration of the break. The class will then run until 12 noon, and then at 12 noon we'll take any remaining questions, and then we'll break for the day. So that's the schedule that we'll be working with. And our instructor is Andreas Gonzalez Posada. He runs McNeil LA, McNeil Latin America, out of Miami. Andreas is a very talented instructor. He's also a software developer. He develops and maintains the websites that a lot of you have probably been onto, and working with the Rhino TV website, the Fab Jewelry, the Fab Studio website, and also Generative Furniture is another website that Andreas keeps up to date and keeps providing new material. And Andreas is known around here for really developing the Grasshopper curriculum. So he is the, at least in my opinion, and many others that have gone through the training both in the classroom in Miami and online, he is a master. So I enjoy working with Andreas, and we always learn something new every time we do this class together. And I am Mary Fouché. I'm with the McNeil office out of Seattle, and I'm with technical support and training staff. And like Andreas, I do training here out of the Seattle office, both online and in the classroom. But today I am going to be here to in the next 4 days to make sure your training runs very smoothly. I'll monitor the chat pane. I will be recording every session. It will be posted out to our class Vimeo album, and I'll share the link here in just a moment. And it usually happens within a couple hours after the training. My goal is to have the video loaded by the time I leave here, which is 5 o'clock or so our time. So it usually happens much before that. And of course, there have been times when the video has gotten corrupted or needed some additional editing, and of course that takes a little more time. But if we all keep our fingers crossed, then hopefully we'll get some really good recordings and not have any issues with our videos from the class. The basics: always watch the training and try to follow the logic. And I think that's really the most important thing you can do in online training, and especially in Grasshopper training. After the class, one of the benefits that you get from the online training is that we're creating the video of the class, so you can always go back and watch the training again, and hopefully you will. And I want to recommend 2 to 3 times through the material for the class before you will really be able to master the material and be able to apply it to your own projects. And so what I like to do is do the video along with the class. So do the video and do the Grasshopper definition along with Andreas after the class, and then start stopping the video and doing as much as you can on your own. And then when you get stuck, turn on the video and forward it again. And by the time you've gone through it 2 or 3 times, you'll be relying on the video less and less and more on the logic. So that's just one recommendation. The class Vimeo album is on the materials page, and you have a panel with the materials on it right now during the class. You can go out and pick on the link here to our class Vimeo album. The password is value list. It is case sensitive. Okay, and you'll be able to stream those until November 1st. Okay, so that gives you lots of time to review, and reinforce those skills that we'll be building in this class. Now, I just heard this morning that the SR13 has been released. If you get a message to do the update during the class, there's no reason to do it right now. SR12 or SR13 is perfectly fine for the class. The eval is typically 90 days. After the eval expires, you can still run Rhino. You can't load plugins though, which means that Grasshopper will not load. I have heard of a number of students trying to do the class under Rhino for Mac with explicit history. It's definitely, I would say, if you have access to the Mac, something to try with the videos. I have not had time myself to go through all of the intermediate material with Rhino for Mac, but I think it's pretty close. But if you do have access to Rhino for Mac, certainly something that makes sense to try after the class. Hopefully you're all running Windows and are going to be able to do the training with Windows and Grasshopper. The date on Grasshopper is August 27, 2014, so it's almost been 2 years since we have seen an update to Grasshopper, so it's been very, very stable. You need some type of computer, mic and speakers. You need something to hear us out of, and then something to talk if you want to talk. It may be a mic that's embedded in your laptop. You might have a headset with a boom mic on it, but GoToTraining is very good at loading the drivers and getting that device up and going. If for some reason it's not working, then unplugging it and plugging it back in. GoToTraining will come up with a message, use new hardware, and again, it's really good about accessing that new hardware, whatever you decide to use. Now, one recommendation, if you don't have dual monitors today, it might be helpful not only during the training, but when you're doing the video. So something to consider as you're continuing to study the material after the class. GoToTraining also runs on iPad. So, you know, if you have a real popular combination now is to run the GoToTraining off an iPad and then have Rhino running off the laptop. So anyway, lots of choices here, but you can only log into one device during one session. So let's say I log into the GoToTraining from my iPad, and then the battery runs out and I can't find my charger, and now I have to log in to GoToTraining from another station. It won't let you do that until the session ends. So it's not going to let you be switching devices during a session. Now remember, a session runs from 9 to 10:45, and then we close it, save off the recording, and then reopen it. So anyway, just plan to stay on one device until we break. And then if you need to change a device, do that during break time. The materials page is in your email from Rhino Instructor, and you can get to the materials anytime after the training by using this link. Okay, so make sure, and I know you all have found it who are in the training today, because that's how you got your links to join the training, and you can get to the materials page anytime after the training. On the materials page is the link to the private class Vimeo album, as well as the definitions from each day. So in addition to posting the video to the Vimeo website, I'm going to put the day 1 definitions out here, and then I'll put day 2, day 3, day 4, and then I'll zip them all together, and then I'll just put out the entire class set of definitions. This page is accessible after the class, so that's one of the updates that GoToTraining has done. So it seems to me like it's accessible for at least a couple weeks, but I can post out. I've never read a real date where they cut it off, but as long as you make your material available after the training, then students can access this page after the class. So it becomes a distribution tool. So that's why it's really important for you to look in your email and find the link to the materials page off that email. And if you have any trouble, let me know. But they keep us organized with those reminder emails. In your Go to Training panel, there's an orange arrow, and that orange arrow compresses and expands out the panel. Okay, so if your panel disappears, look for that orange arrow in the upper right corner, and it will pull out the panel again. And one of the important things on the panel is the chat window, and if it closes up, you won't be able to chat. There's also an option up under View that says Auto Hide Panel, and what I'm going to be doing here is typing in all of the paths to the components and the parameters. So if Andreas is working with a certain component and you're not sure where it's at, and maybe you were, doing something else when he was saying where he was taking the component from, you can always look to your chat here and find the path to that component. So the chat's really important, as well as letting us know kind of how the training is going, or if you want us to repeat something, or if your definition isn't working. I can think of all types of things that you can chat to us. This is also the hand raising icon. So if we ask for a raise of hands to do introductions, this is what you will use to electronically raise your hand. Okay, here's some suggested hardware: 1 computer and 1 monitor, 2 computers, or some type of device like a iPad, and then of course 2 monitors. This option here becomes a little bit tight because you have to put Rhino here and then the video from Go to Training. It can happen, I guess, on a larger monitor. This is a nice option because you can have your Go to Training on one monitor and you can have your Rhino on the other. And if you need to share your screen with us, that can happen very easily because Go to Training is on that computer. This is an interesting option, but the problem with this is that you can't share the computer with Rhino on. So if you have Rhino and Go to Training on separate computers, or maybe you have an iPad where you're watching the Go to Training, then you won't be able to share your Rhino screen. Totally an option, but there is just one downside there, and that you cannot share your Rhino. Some type of comfortable headset, because you are going to be spending quite a bit of time this week on in the Go to Training and on Grasshopper, and we want you to be comfortable. So intermediate Grasshopper training is for design professionals or students of design that want to improve their Grasshopper skills in an instructor-led advanced online training at an accelerated pace. So there's one thing that Andreas does very well, and that's keep the class moving. The Intro to Grasshopper or equivalent is recommended, but certainly not required to join us for this week's training. One of the big topics for this class, and you saw it from the outline, was working with data, splitting lists, using trees. So we'll be going over, each of these outlines at the beginning of each session. Also, domains and series and remapping domains, isotrim, morphing, surfaces and bounding box, math expressions, some more advanced math components. Okay. Parameter viewer, manipulating trees, flattening and graphing trees, exploding, merging, and flipping the data matrix. Okay. And then just making sure we get through lots of examples of working with trees and branches and the data components. So what I have for you is just just some examples of the definitions that we'll be putting together. So a graphical way of looking at what we'll be doing. And at the end of the training, that's our last definition. So I just wanted to give you some idea of how quickly we move into the advanced material. Okay, so before we turn this over to Andreas, if you would be kind enough to raise your hand and tell us a little bit about you, we'll be able to make the class that more effective and personal for your uses. So Andreas, do you want to come on and say hello?
Sure, Mary, and thank you for that introduction. We would love to hear just a little bit of a few of you, and also, Mary, if we can do the poll. I always love to find out in which industry you are working, and there are two other questions.
Yes,
yes.
Yes. Super. Okay, Andres, we're starting to get some feedback here. So it looks like the majority is architecture, building construction with product design, and jewelry and software development is tied at 15%. I'll share the results. If you could chat to us what other is, that would be really helpful. Thank you, Michelle. Let me go ahead and close, and we'll share this just so you know who your fellow students are. We do allow you to chat with anybody, so all of us, we do like, to hear from everybody, but it is possible for you to chat with any other students. We have interior design, 3D printing. Awesome. Okay, so that's what we have for other. Okay, so let's just find out, Andreas, what type of Grasshopper users we have, because maybe we have some students that want to help. Do you know a bit? Are you pretty good? Are you simply awesome? But you will be simply awesome after the class. That's what we know. Wonderful. Okay, so we've got most of the students know a bit, and that seems like it is perfect where you want to be for this class. And we even have about a third of the class who is pretty good at Grasshopper. Okay, now the last one, and I know you like to find out about this, Andreas, is what yes. Units do our students use? So we have metric and imperial, and right now it looks like metric is about 2/3, and imperial is about 1/3. And when you say metric, do you mean millimeters, centimeters?
Well, Yeah, usually
Yeah,
is millimeters,
millimeters.
centimeters, and meters.
Okay.
Those three.
Okay.
Yeah, and when you switch to imperial, you might be talking about inches, feet and inches, and miles.
Got
So
it. Got it.
so we
Okay.
have 64%. Okay, perfect.
So they'll be happy when you're using millimeters.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
we should do, and at the same time, I like to mix both of them.
Mix it up.
So,
Okay.
yes.
Great, great. And let's see. The only other question that would be really helpful if you could chat to us is actually let's use the hand raising icon. Did you take level 1 with Andreas anytime within the last couple years? Great. Go ahead and raise your hand. Okay, so you can see Andreas. Great, wonderful. Thank you for chatting that too. Okay, so it looks like about a third have taken the level 1. Okay, awesome. But we have some new students, and we're really, really happy that you're here. So if you have any questions as things move along, or where to find the materials, does everybody see the material panel? If you could take a glance over there, that would be. And let me go ahead. I probably still have. Let me bring this over. I still have the poll shared, so let me go ahead and hide that, and then we'll all be back. Okay, great. Okay, super. So it looks like you have the materials panel. So this is our private class Vimeo album, and if you look on the materials panel, the password is value list. And once you type that in, then your computer will remember that. Okay, so and you can say, update password, or I'm going to say no because I actually have another password I'm trying to remember. But anyway, I put a couple videos out here, Andreas. David Rutan's introduction to Grasshopper, as well as your presentation to fit from a couple years ago, which I think is still a very good option. What you'll see out here is that this album will be populating by 2 videos every day. And these are the videos that if you have to leave class early or come late, that you can go and get catch up. Jana, make sure it's case sensitive. And I just typed it in, and it worked. So, and I actually did it last night too. Value list, case sensitive. Okay, make sure you type that in very carefully. You can copy it now off of your chat, and I can help you, privately later if it's not working. But anyway, this is the link, and I can send it out to the chat window. Okay, so make sure and test that out, because that's where your videos are going to be, where you can catch up if you miss a class or have to leave early. So let me know if that works for you, and if you have any problems, we'll address them. Okay, so that's awesome. Thank you for the information and the update. So let's, okay, so we will be giving homework, Andreas, and we'll go over that. We'll make sure everybody understands. But I do have a couple homework assignments, is to download the links off of the materials page. And if it's materials, go ahead and save them off. And there is a supplemental zip file called extras, extra files for Grasshopper 102. Make sure you get that and put that in your folder. Okay. And the last thing that I want to talk about, and I did mention that I would be chatting the path to components and parameters. So if I take the curve parameter, and it's located here on params, I'll start out with that it's located on params. and then I'll say it's on geometry, okay, and then I'll give the location, or I'll give the description of the item. So usually 1, 2, 3, okay? Those are the things that I will be chatting. Params dash geometry dash curve would be what we would see in this case. So that's really important. If I go to vectors and point, okay, so this is the construct point, I will say vector, point, and construct point. Now notice there's a deconstruct point that looks similar but it's very different. So, and if you can't find a parameter, we also have a nice option where you can hold down Control and Alt, and this is really important as you're looking at Andreas's definitions. If you hold Control and Alt down and press on the component or the parameter, the Finder will show you where it's at. Okay, so one of the options that you have is to double click on the canvas and type in the component or parameter that you want to use. And after you find it that way, then you can hold Control and Alt down and it will tell you where it's at. Okay, so if you know that the component you want is random, you can find the little kitty cat picture and you can hold down Control and Alt and it will tell you where it's at. So that's a really effective way to find a component or parameter if you get behind. So double clicking on the canvas, typing. If you type a number, you get a numeric slider. Okay, so we can type in where we want the numeric slider to start, what value we want it set at, and where we want it to end, and the precision. Okay, so that's something that you'll see Andreas do a lot. And if you weren't in a level 1 class, that may go by really fast in the beginning. So just a couple things that I know will be really important as you're trying to keep up with the training. And unfortunately, as you're watching the training, there isn't a way to rewind like you can with the video. So let me know if you get lost or need help finding something. But here's some tips that will keep you up with the class, even if you get distracted and start, working on a problem or something that you're having on your Grasshopper while Andreas is carrying on with the class. Okay. So with that, let's go ahead and pass the screen over to Andreas.
Perfect. So I guess we are ready. I hope everybody has tons of coffee today and every single day during this week. Okay, so I saw that maybe 30% of the students that we have took our level 101 class. So I might go over very few things before we continue. Number one, I do want everybody to make a folder. It's a no-brainer. Please make a folder. This is level 102, and inside that folder, day 01, make another one. This one is going to be day 02. This one is going to be day 03. And I think if you behave well, we might have the last one. Okay, so I am going to save all my definitions in each one of these folders, and at the end of the class I will zip all of them send them to Mary, and she will do her best to post them the same day. All right? So be aware of that. Let me minimize this. Second, for this class, you can change it later. In other words, next week, you can go back to how you prefer to work with Grasshopper. But for this week, for tech support, and if you do have questions, we might be able to log in into your computer and see what's working and what's not working. So we need everybody to have almost the same interface with Grasshopper. So, number one, under display, I do want you to check, and let me bring my colors, and I'm going to use this one. Under display, please make sure to check draw fancy wires, because tomorrow we're going to start looking at trees, and I need you to have that on so that you can see the different types of lines, and we will see it today. All right. Second, I do prefer for this class, as soon as you drag and drop either a parameter or a component, I would like everybody to use icons, right? You can set it to labels, that's fine, but after this class, not during this class, because it's quite easy for me to identify the icon and to help everybody if you send us a definition that is not working. Perfect. So now we have draw icons and fancy wires. Let me delete. Perfect. The next one, and this is something that I use from time to time on my definitions. I like to draw, and let me show you where this one is, right there. And let me erase it, go back to normal. I like to draw something like this, right? But I can set, okay, that's what I want. And of course, you can change the type of line. Maybe you want this one, and maybe you want it red. It's up to you, right? Once you say, okay, I want you to see this. This is really unique and will organize things for us. I can come to Rhino. Notice that I am in the top viewport, and I can draw a rectangle right there. And I can right click on this diagram and say, please load from Rhino. So left click, select, enter, and there we have it, right there. Beautiful, beautiful. Okay. I hope you like that one. I use these helpers to allow me and organize my definitions. And of course, I can draw, many things. I can draw few things like this, load from Rhino, select all of them, enter, and there you have it. So you can bring almost any object you want. All right? Perfect. Let me delete all of these. Let me delete all of these and start explaining few other things. And we're going to start drawing 3 curves. They could be polyline, interpolated, or control point curves. So I'm just going to draw in the top view. And please notice I am not paying attention to the units yet. All right? I'm not paying attention to the units yet. All right? How come that it didn't work? I see somebody on my chat. It's quite easy. First, you draw something beautiful. Please do not copy my beautiful design. There, say OK. Then you select and right-click, and you can choose Load from Rhino. You go to Rhino, to the top viewport, select, right-click, and don't forget to drag. Don't forget, they appear right here on the top. So you have to drag them inside. Maybe that's what didn't work. Okay. So now that we have these 3 curves, I am going to surface the surface tab, and I'm going to choose the loft component. So drag and drop the loft component right here. And from time to time, so that it gets saved on the video that Mary is doing for us, I love to press Control, Alt, and left click. Control, Alt, and left click. And that will give you the path from where that component or parameter came. All right? So we have the loft over here. And I need to select these curves. So I go to parameters. And under parameters, let me drag and drop a curve right here. All right? Perfect. Let me zoom. Right click on the curve. Select multiple curves. Let me select all of them. Enter. And now I am going to connect those 3 over here. I know it is working because I drew my curves in order. And we're going to fix that later. We're going to be able to draw with any, draw all the curves in disorder, And the Grasshopper definition should be smart enough to organize everything for us. So this is what I want to do. This is what I want to show you. If I right click on this parameter and I go all the way down here, many people that use Grasshopper do forget that we have this possibility. So I like to bring it at this point, and we can internalize those three curves. So if I internalize there, and I go to File, Save, let me come over here to my computer right there, day one. So this is my 001 definition. Internalize curves. If I save that little piece of definition, Grasshopper is going to save the curves. Notice, I'm going to delete my curves. I'm going to close, do not save there. If I go back and reopen my definition, bingo. So I was able, by selecting internalize, just by doing the internalize data, what I'm doing is allowing Grasshopper to save both the definition and the data from Rhino. So both will go into one file. But there is always a but. Notice that I cannot select the curves. The curves are inside these parameters. So what do? You right click and you bake them if you need to use them. So let me bake them over here. And now notice that the curves are over here. Beautiful. And now I can pre-select them one more time. All right. So be aware of that. Be aware of that. Let me select 1, 2, and 3. Enter. Beautiful. So don't forget, internalize the data. That's quite important. And in many of the exercises that we will do during these 4 days, I will internalize the data. If I do not do it, guess what? It's your responsibility to tell me. You have to tell me, Andres, do not forget to either save the file, the Rhino file, or to internalize the data. Excellent. So now that we covered all of that, let me delete everything. And this time, we're going to start playing with something more interesting. I want you to create a new document in Grasshopper. brand new document. All right. In Rhino, in the top viewport, I want you to draw 1, 2, 3, and 4 rectangles. Okay? 4 very easy 2D rectangles. Drag and drop a either curve or geometry parameter right there. And by the way, it is up to you. I love to do this. Select, Control G. That will place a group on only one single object. And I love to do this because I can right click on the group and type select all the rectangles. There. So as I go, I might be able to document my definition. This is up to you. You don't have to do it, but I love to do that. Perfect. So let us select all of them, multiple geometries, all of them. And once we have all that geometry, I would love you to go and visit the Surface tab and drag and drop the M2. We are going to calculate the area. All right? So drag and drop M2. And don't forget that you can double click the canvas and you can type area, and there you find it. So it is up to you, and there is the component. It's up to you how you want to bring each one of these components. Excellent. So we connect the curves to the area. And please take just a second and look at the numbers. On my computer, the lowest is something like 54 and the highest 174. So I will remember that. All right. So I need a definition that will allow me to select objects based on the value of the area. All right. So here we go. Let's go to Sets. And under the Set tab, I would like you to, under the list, I would like you to drag and drop the dispatch. Dispatch. We're going to start playing with this one. I love to use this component a lot. So we have the dispatch. And we are going to connect all the values that we got for the area of each one of those rectangles to L. So we have 4 values, a list going into L. And now we need to make a condition that is going to divide is going to divide. Whatever is positive is going to go into A, and whatever doesn't pass our condition will go to B. So let us create that condition. Very simple. I would like you to go to the Math department, the Math tab, and I would like you to drag and drop an evaluate component. So drag and drop the evaluate there. So what is it that we want to evaluate? We want to evaluate all these values there, the area of each one of these rectangles. So A goes to X. And we need to have a numeric slider, and that's why I ask you to look at your values, because on my computer, my numeric slider is going to go from 50 to 200. No decimal places. If you want a decimal place, just type 0.0, and that will give you one decimal place on your numerical slider. So if I hit OK, I get a numeric slider from 50 to 200. Beautiful. And I am going to connect this one over here. And this is the value that is going to set what areas I am going to let pass and what areas are not going to be able to pass the dispatch component. So here we are going to type the formula. So right-click on F and open up the expression editor. So you should see this dialog box. First, do not panic. You know, some people look at this and they just give up. They just turn off Grasshopper. But this is quite simple. One of the things that I would love you to review, especially if you have free times during the weekends, is this part. And let me show you where you can get it. Right there. Right there on that corner. If you click on that little push button, you will have a list of all the functions that you can type on your expression editor. And the one that I'm looking for is right here, if. Right there, if. I'm going to use this one. Let me erase my marker. So here we go. If, it doesn't matter if you do it lowercase or capital, it doesn't matter. My condition is going to be like this. If, open parentheses, X, remember X is the value of the area. Don't forget that. If x is greater, there is the icon, greater than y, if it is greater, space, comma, I'm going to set that to 1, comma, if it is not greater, I'm going to set it to 0. All right? And let me close. And before I close, I love this because look, right here, down here, it is telling me, oh, you have an error. Oh, do I have an error? Yeah, you do. So as soon as I type my nest parentheses, no errors. It's beautiful. So let me erase all of that. And if I hit OK, I would like you to see, and I love to place a panel just to see what comes out of here. Let me set the font there. So let's check. If I set my slider to 50, the area of each one of these is greater than 50. If I set it to, let's say, almost 80, only 3 rectangles would pass my criteria. If I set it to, let's say, 150, only one passes. So guess what? I can use this pattern 1000 and connect it to P. And that will filter all these values. And if you want to select that one and show it, you can also get another dispatch, but this time you are selecting the rectangles and you can connect the list of zeros and ones to the pattern, and that will do it. If you want to see it, let me add a planar surface to A. There. Let me zoom in just a little bit right there. Beautiful. So if I scroll to the left, oh, there I have 2. There I have 3. All of them passes. Only 1, none. So as you can see, it's quite simple to use Grasshopper in order to filter some values, some geometry. Any questions with this one? I like to do this. This is up to you. And I like to go to display and paint. Paint maybe the ones that pass. right there.
Hey, Andreas,
And leave, yes.
why do you have the second dispatch? Is that something
This,
coming up?
this one,
Yeah.
this one will give me the value.
Oh, just for display.
Yes.
Okay.
This one,
Okay.
this one will give me, it will filter the values that do pass my condition. The first dispatch selects
Got
the
it.
rectangles.
Okay.
Yes.
So one
Now,
has the curves plugged into L, and then the second one has the areas plugged in to L.
yes,
Okay.
because I need the area in order for my eval to run the expression. And that will give me this list of zeros and ones. And it's up to me. It's up to me how I want to use. Let's say, and that brings me, let me give you another. Let's say I have another dispatch over here. But guess what? This dispatch is going to select the center of each rectangle, and I'm going to filter the center with this. And at each center, I'm going to place a sphere. There. So only those that pass will get to get painted and will get an sphere. And we can set this one to 2.0 so that the sphere is a little bit bigger. There. So my main concern is to get this list of zeros and ones. Once I have the pattern, I can connect it to any one of these dispatches, and I can filter either the rectangles, I can filter the area, and I can filter the centers. Yes, yes, you can filter. You can filter almost anything, and we are going to filter few things in just a little bit. So I am going to save this one, and I am going to internalize the data. And we're going to do another little exercise with this in just a little bit. Let me save as. So this is 002, dispatch area. Save it. Any questions with this one? Can we jump to the next one? Perfect. All right, so close this one, create a brand new document, and this time, this is how I use it from time to time, especially when people bring a drawing and they want to send that information to the laser or to a CNC machine. And guess what? By the way, I'm going to make it very, very obvious, but this is what happens. All the curves are open. So let me do another one over here. Let me do another one over here. And maybe the last one, oh yeah, that one is close. All right? So that's what I have. And I need to check that drawing before we continue. And don't forget, if I want to make this really hard, I could do something like this. Look at this, look at this. And it will be really hard for anyone to see that this is open. Okay? So sometimes I love to do and run this definition when somebody brings this type of files. So here we go. Step number 1. We are going to select all those curves. Right click, multiple, there. We then go to curves, analysis, and under curves, we are going to check whether or not they are closed or open. Right there. Okay? So let me show you. This one comes from the curve tab. And if I look at the value, the list of values from P, notice that I have false, 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 true. That means 0, 0, 0, 1. Okay? So this is what we are going to do. We're gonna fix all those curves. How? Very simple. Set this patch. We are going to select the list of curves, and we are going to connect the pattern. So as you know already, only one is closed, that one. So what are we going to do? What are we going to do with the rest? Quite simple. Here we go. Curves, endpoints. So we are going to find out the endpoints for all those curves. And we are going to draw a straight line in between all the start of the curves and all the ends of the curves. There. And that will be one option to do this. But I want you to see another possibility that I like a lot. And that one is right there. Curve, splines, blend two curves. All right? right there. Let me show you where I got this one from. Curve splines. So we are going to take all the open curves to A and all the open curves to B. All right? And then if we analyze this component, notice that down here we have the possibility to close those open curves with either a straight line position, with an arc tangency, or with a very nice curve, degree 3, if we set it to curvature. So over here, I would like you to make a numeric slider that goes from 0 to 2. A numeric slider that goes from 0 to 2. And if you hit enter, notice that now we can set how you want to close those curves. But even better, you have the possibility to control the force. How much power are you giving to this blending? So I'm going to create a slider 1.00, enter, 1.00, enter. That will give me a slider from 0 to 1. Copy and connect this one to FA and FB. And look at this. Ooh, really nice. There. Okay, so now you control how you are doing the blending in each one of those curves. All right? So for this exercise, I only have one more option. But before I do so, I like to select all of these, press the space bar, and disable the preview, because I start to see a lot of points all over the place. So select, press the space bar, and there you have the blind person. You want to disable the preview. Okay. And now it is up to you if you like this option, which, by the way, is setting this one to 0. But let's say we didn't have that option. We only had 1 and 2. So I'm going to make a multiple choice, so I have the possibility to choose either the blend or this one. Okay? Yes, I believe somebody has a question, Mary.
Okay, Kareem, do you want us to unmute your mic or do you want to type it in? Let us know. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, I want to know, does the difference between tangent and curvature and tangency, it's the same difference between the degree of the curve, it's first degree curve or second or third, or I'm mixed up with it?
No, you are fine. That's it.
Okay,
It has to do with the degree of the curve.
okay, thank you so much.
Sure. So for this little exercise, all I want at this point is to be able um, to select which ones are the ones that I want to be able to join. So I'm going back to parameters. Let me minimize my drawing. Going back to parameters, and I would like you to drag and drop a value list. Value list. Drag and drop one of these. We're going to use this one a lot during these 4 days. So right click, edit, and delete all of this. And we have only 2 options. And I love to say option A is lines, and that is equal to 0. That's the most important part. I don't care what you write on the left side, but I do care that after the equal sign, you set it to 0. Enter. And option B is blends, and that's equal to 1. So we have straight lines or blends. If I hit OK, notice that you have those 2 options, lines, or you can select blends. By the way, if you right-click on this component or this parameter, you can set value cycle. That means you can click, left click, and you can cycle through the list. All right? But I'm going to leave it as drop down list right there. And almost always, this parameter goes together with set, tree, and a stream filter. Right there. Right there. Let me move this one over here. And it's very simple. This value list is going to control the gate, the door, the garage. Lines will go through door 0, and the blends will go to door label 1. So only one of these 2 will be able to get out. All right? And it's up to you. If you set it to blends, notice that it says, oh, gate 1 is going out. If you set it to lines, oh, gate 0 is going out. All right? So now that we have that, Now that we have that, it's a good moment to come to Curves, Utilities, and use the joined curves there. And you are going to connect this one over here, all the curves that are open, and press the Shift key and connect this one over here. There. And now those open curves that came on that drawing, I know for sure they are closed. So we can also create a planar surface. And I like the blends there. Beautiful. So now we can disable and disable. Beautiful. Any questions with this one? Here we see another simple use of this patch. Okay. I am going to right click, internalize my beautiful curves, and go ahead and save it. 003, this patch, close curves. Perfect. Okay. So the next exercise is going to be very simple, so that we have the break and start playing with some files that Mary gave to you. And this is a good moment from the I don't have my materials. Where are my materials? Okay, from the materials, make sure you have something like this. Something like, I believe something like this. 105 DOF XYZ. Okay, when Michelle, the next exercise that we are going to do after the break, that's more or less, that will answer that question. But you have to have this file. And let me see if I can open it. There, right there. We need to have this TXT file. This is an ASCII file. And we're going to read it, and we're going to change it.
I can post it to materials just by itself too, Andreas.
Yes,
or
please.
After break. Yeah.
Yes, after the break. Okay.
Okay, so 10 minutes. We'll go ahead and
Yes.
stop the